This is Planet 76, your source for all things Philadelphia 76ers. We've got another great episode coming your way today, and we're cleared for takeoff. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody. Planet 76, episode 83.
Yes.
84. 83?
I think so. Let me triple check.
83. My name is Michael, and Troy is here, per usual. So, Sixers. Oh, also make sure you
84.
subscribe.
84, folks. Yes.
I called it. I called it. Make sure you subscribe. So maybe you know the episode.
Right, yeah.
Whoever's watching or listening, maybe you know the episode count better than I do.
I know,
Episode
right?
84. Trade deadline, Sixers, all that stuff. Yeah, we're just going to get right into the episode. The Sixers had a 3-game slate this week since we last recorded.
Yep.
Celtics, Knicks, and Nets. Trade deadline was Thursday, which was crazy around the NBA in general, but the Sixers found themselves with a move. And I haven't really heard your thoughts, Troy, so why don't we just start with that?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so Sixers did make a move. Was that on deadline day? Was that Thursday?
Yeah, it was around 1 p.m.
Right. So long-time Sixer, Matisse Thybulle, is no longer a 76er, as they, in a 3-team deal with Charlotte and Portland, acquired Jalen McDaniels from Charlotte. And so here's what I'll say about the move. You know, I think the move itself, if I disengage myself or detach myself from me being just a fan of guys on the Sixers as human beings, as players, as, you know, whatever you want to say, then it's a good move. I will say that. But sometimes for me, it just takes a while to detach myself from players, if I'm being honest. Personally, I get pretty attached to some guys, and Matisse is one of those because he's always smiling, always having fun. He's just, you know, you go back to the bubble vlogs, and he's just a fun guy. And so you know, he's a guy who, you know, I hope to keep up with a little bit, you know, wherever he is going to finish his career at Portland and beyond. You know, I kind of equate it to some other guys that like were difficult to say goodbye that like I knew it was a good deal. Now this is one that was obviously a better deal than this one, but you know, I think of Jimmy Butler and how he lost Dario and Robert Covington that year, and I was like, man, like 2 Sixers I've, you know, been following who have been through it with this team, and you know, so kind of like that, but. I like the move. I think Jalen McDaniels is going to provide something the Sixers need. I think Daryl knew that there was a need. I think the biggest thing that I've seen in articles or, you know, things about the move is Matisse at times, and especially it's heightened during the playoffs, is just kind of unplayable on offense, and it's a shame, but it's just the truth. And again, that gets highlighted and amplified in the playoffs, and so that's not going to happen anymore with a guy like Jalen McDaniels, and you like to think that he can provide some really good things on both ends of the basketball. So that's what I'll say about it. What about you? So that was their move on deadline day, so Furkan is still a Sixer.
After requesting a trade not once, but twice in his tenure with this team.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, that was a great analysis. I 100% agree with everything you said, and I think at this point, Daryl in the front office felt like, okay, Matisse, you're not really helping this team as much as we'd like you to help this team. And Matisse seems like a great person.
Right.
But as a player, he's not bad. Obviously, he's a great player, but he's not what this team needs. What this team needs, ironically enough, is players like Jalen McDaniels. I almost said Jaden, but it's Jalen, not Jaden. Is players like Jalen McDaniels. Players who can play both ends of the floor, but also score, put the ball on the floor, create for themselves. Every team needs that. Now, teams with an abundance of those players can get away with having guys like Matisse Thybulle, but the Sixers do not have a lot of those players. So having a guy like Thybulle, who hurts your offense at times, is not ideal at all.
Right.
So wish Matisse the best. I'm sure he'll have some role in Portland, and I'm cool with this move. I think it's a great move. I still wish they did something about the backup center position, as I'm sure we've talked about. No, we've talked about that pretty abundantly here on the podcast, but I've heard it. You've heard it as well. But if Glenn really does decide to go with Paul Reed, I think this issue becomes a lot smaller than it is right now. Right now, it's a pretty big issue, but if Paul Reed keeps getting those reps and he keeps producing at a high level, I think it could work out.
Right. Yeah, he's a guy, again, if given the minutes and given the opportunity, he's a guy that, whatever way you look at it, he's going to, playoffs and beyond, or, playoffs and what he's going to do in a series is pretty remarkable to think. Like, he's going to have some wow plays. He's going to make an impact in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, he might have some silly fouls or some silly shot attempts, but, he's going to do some things that honestly are going to impact winning. I mean, that's just what he does. He's oftentimes, that one game earlier this season had like 6 steals or whatever in like 20 minutes. It was crazy. He makes winning plays. He makes energy plays. And, that's a guy who's easy to root for and you like on the floor in the playoffs. So hopefully that does stay. So does that mean that the Sixers, if it does stick with Reed, does that mean their bench 5 is Maxey, Milton, what's his face? McDaniels, Niang, and Reed. Is that the 5? I mean,
well, if you really think about it, if it's not Harrell, it's Reed,
right?
Which I agree with, and
McDaniels is in over House and Korkmaz. Obviously, you make the move because he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
100%.
So,
100%.
Niang's certainly there. Maxey's there. Milton's there. Like, that seems to be what it'll be.
And it rounds out. A move like that rounds out your rotation. I mean, you're kind of alluding to that, but a move like that rounds out your rotation. You can give McDaniels Korkmaz's minutes. You can give him House's minutes. You can give him some of Harrell's minutes. Give the rest to Reed. And then he replaces Thybulle in the rotation, but also moves up maybe 1 or 2 slots because I think he's one of the better role players on this team now.
Right. Yeah, I think it's going to be – I think that – if not the biggest thing to watch over the last 20-plus games, it might be the thing to watch, or if not one of the things. If not the thing, it's one of the things. So that bench 5 unit and how they're going to look over the last couple months of the season as we head to the playoffs is going to be huge.
Yeah.
That's just such an important thing to look for. How they mesh, how they play together in all bench units, how's it look? When they're paired with certain guys from the starting lineup, how's it look? So, hoping that everyone stays healthy, hoping that the roster is set. This is it. This is what we know. This is what we're going to push ahead with. It's something to look for, to see what McDaniels can do and what these other guys can do now that they kind of know their role. They know they're still going to be on the team and all of that fun stuff. So that's an important piece to watch. Trade. I mean, obviously, a couple big moves. The Nets. We said they were a dumpster fire last week on the pod, and that has gotten just a little bit bigger of a fire. Ben Simmons is the only guy there right now that's like a known name. Spencer Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges, but it's just crazy. Do you see what Mikal Bridges said? He was like, "Yeah, if it was me, I probably would have done it too." It was Kevin Durant.
I did see that.
So I respect that.
I do. Yeah.
So they got a couple guys,
that,
but to think that, just a little over 365 days ago, they had Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. Now
it's been a year. It's been a year since
guys
Harden's been
are
a
there,
Sixer.
right? Pretty wild. And so Durant ends up in Phoenix. I don't know what that does for you as far as where Phoenix ranks out west.
Scary.
And then the Mavericks, Kyrie Irving and Luka. That's a very talented couple of guys right there. So I know you've seen the stuff about John Morant saying they got it easy in the West, and now it's like, hold on, I don't know.
That's going to age super poorly. A lot of my takes here on this podcast.
So what team would you say? What is it? If maybe it's one of those teams. Maybe it's the Lakers.
Nuggets.
Maybe who do you think helped themselves the most though at the deadline?
Never mind. I thought you were going somewhere else with that. That's my bad. But definitely the Suns. I think up until this point, they were just a good team. They were just fine. They were just the Suns are good, that kind of thing. But now wait a minute, the Suns can actually win it all this year.
Yeah.
With Kevin Durant. I don't have to say anything else.
Right. Yeah. The Sixers did play basketball this week, as you alluded to open up. One up in Boston on Wednesday, and then at home against the Knicks, got a little payback there and won. And then game in Brooklyn yesterday was fantastic, 101-98. Sixers were down, head into the fourth. We're down with a few minutes left, and Embiid and Harden made some plays to get the win. Dinwiddie's shot did not count from nearly half court, 101-98. It would have tied it and sent it to OT, but it did not, and the Sixers were able to win. But I want to start. So, full disclosure here, I did not watch much action from the Sixers this week. Busy week. But the Sixers played the Celtics on Wednesday again, and what I do know from looking on Twitter and all this stuff, I know they were without 3 starters. I know, did Tatum go out early in that one? I think he went out early.
I'm not sure. I didn't watch. I unfortunately was not able to catch that game either.
But here's what I did see, and I was like, in my head, personally, I was like, that's a bit of an overreaction from Rich Hoffman in this tweet that he summed up the game. And I want to see if you think overreaction or underreaction or proper.
Yeah.
So he said Boston was without 3 starters for the entire game and 4 starters for the second half, which again I think is alluding to Tatum not being there. The healthy Sixers, with an opportunity to be 2 games back for the season, of course chasing those Celtics, could not beat that team. The Sixers 106-99, and they are now 34-19. He said this is the big one, as this is as embarrassing as a regular season loss gets. Overreaction, or is he in the right area by saying this is as embarrassing as it gets in the regular season given those circumstances?
I'm gonna attack this a little outside the box here. I don't know that any regular season loss is particularly embarrassing because number one, any team can beat any team on any given night. The Magic are beating the Celtics. The Magic
That's exactly
are beating
what
the
I was
Nuggets.
gonna say.
The Rockets beat the Sixers a couple months ago in double overtime. I mean, I don't know that any loss in the NBA for any team is particularly embarrassing to any degree. Now, you could look at it from the fact that, the Sixers should have won that game 100%.
Sure.
But I don't know if I'd say that's an overreaction. I don't think this is the most embarrassing regular season loss. Because, I mean, this dude, the Sixers reporter, he's a Sixers guy. He should know. The Sixers have had quite a few embarrassing losses on the season so far. Right. And I would go out and say that those losses were more embarrassing than this one. Even though the Celtics didn't have a huge chunk of their team, they also still have a really good team outside of their core. And when you talk about depth in the NBA, you look directly at the Celtics because they have 8, 9, 10 guys who can play and fill in gaps where other guys are hurt or injured or out or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that more than an embarrassment for the Sixers, it proves what you just said about the Celtics' depth. Right. And, hats off to them. Obviously, I mean, they, to dig deep like that and, beat a full-strength Sixers team is impressive. Yeah. And we're not shocked by that. It is what it is. I mean, the Celtics are a very good team. They've proven that this year. And they had 5-6 guys between 20 and 17 points or something crazy in that game. And, they had to do it because of, the circumstances they were in. And so I think it proves more about Boston than it does about the Sixers. It proves more about Boston in a positive way than it does about the Sixers in a negative way. But you read my mind when I asked this because you said the exact same thing I said. The Celtics lost to the Orlando Magic twice in back-to-back games. I just looked. December 16th and 18th, 2 games against Orlando at home, by the way. Both of those at TD Garden, and both of those losses for the Celtics. I mean, it just happens.
Yeah.
It's the NBA. It's a long
Any
season.
team can really beat anybody on any given
beat
night.
any team, right? And the Celtics were shorthanded, yeah, but like they beat the Sixers that night. That's all it is. So definitely an overreaction in my mind. I mean, that's a pretty brutal thing to say about a regular season loss against, again, whatever you want to say. They're the number one seed in the East for a reason, and a huge part of that isn't necessarily the stars; it's the depth, and they proved that. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Considering I didn't watch, I was like, whoa, like what did they do to blow this one? Like what? That's a little bit much, but. Sixers did have 2 other games, and again got some revenge against the Knicks, and then got some revenge against. They beat Brooklyn actually this year, but 101-98 and then 119-108. General takeaways, I guess, from those two as a collective or as individual games. Good to see them beat some conference opponents.
Well, as a collective, yikes, because both games came down to the wire. Jalen Brunson had 20 in the first quarter in that Knicks game, and I saw a lot of similarities to that Sunday Knicks game a week ago today. That the same, not the same exact thing, but a lot of similarities between both games. The Sixers ended up winning this game though, thankfully, and I don't know what it is with this team lately. The fourth quarter rolls around and they look entirely different than they did in the first quarter. This happened in the Knicks game, and this happened yesterday in the Nets game. In the Knicks game, they were just kind of slow. Jalen Brunson was going off. Randall was playing very well in the first quarter as well. The fourth quarter came around, and they just came alive, and they ended up winning the game. And the Nets game, even, and similarities there too. First quarter rolls around, the Nets defense is just smothering the Sixers. Bridges is playing really well on Harden. They're doubling Embiid, getting the ball out of his hands a lot, forcing him to make decisions with the ball. And they can do that now because they have literally every switchable defender in the league on one team. One team. And fourth quarter, the Nets had some massive leads on the Sixers. I'm trying to think of the lead totals. I mean, at least 10, 9, 12. I think it was up to 13 at one point. And you can fact check me too, Troy, if you want. But whoever's listening can fact check me as well, because I could be wrong. But I know that the Nets were up by quite a lot on multiple occasions in that game. Then the fourth quarter rolls around, and Sixers go on a 14-2 run in the last 5 minutes and win. And obviously, they almost kind of didn't win because Spencer Dinwiddie almost made it was legitimately from the logo. It was legitimately from the Nets logo. Nothing but net. But it got waved off. Almost went to overtime. So, it was Sixers started.
Yeah, I mean, they were
slow.
fortunate to escape that one for sure.
Yeah, they started slow in both games, but ultimately ended up with a win. And I'm just not really at this point. I'm looking to see what the Sixers are going to be doing in the playoffs. Regular season, they still need to prove themselves a bit, to me at least. A lot of people are higher, a lot of people are lower. But I'm thinking a month and a half away, what's this team going to look like in the playoffs? How is it going to look? Because last year, there was some, what's the word I'm looking for? Some not suspicion, but some unanswered questions with this team, and there still are a few this year, but I think it's going to be a bit. I'd like to think it's going to be a bit smoother heading into the playoffs.
Sure. I mean, post deadline, it kind of is that, like, it's the
it's
season.
Playoff mode.
Let's get to the playoffs. Like I said, the one thing that I think to watch for is how Jalen McDaniels fits into the bench, and how that bench, those pieces that are going to be regular rotations in the playoffs, how that's going to work and what it's going to look like, and just solidifying those kind of things. Staying healthy, of course, is going to be huge, and getting a good placement in the standings to make a run, of course, for the playoffs is going to be a big deal. But yeah, I mean, we are getting there. We're 36-19. We are heading closer and closer to the playoffs, and another year where the Sixers look to make a run, look to get around further than they've been. At least Eastern Conference Finals. We'd love to make the finals. And I will say, so another team from Philly played in the finals of their league tonight against the Kansas City Chiefs. Eagles lost that one by a field goal. Questionable call late to give the Chiefs a first down. They were able to run the clock down and kick a field goal with like 8 seconds rather than like a minute 45 seconds, which would have given the Eagles more of a shot to come back down and score. But anyway, so hold on. Think about this. Eagles made the Super Bowl, lost. Also this year, or this season, the Philadelphia Phillies made the World Series. And
the Union came up short. Lost in their final, too.
The Union lost in the final.
Lost to, what team did they lose to? I think it was...
See, that's one I didn't even have on my radar because I don't even know. But I think I do remember hearing that. The Flyers are about 500 right now, so we won't count them. But 6 or 7 chance, obviously, and Philly fans would love to see that. And that would be one, break the streak of losing in the championship and win one for the city of Philadelphia. That'd be great. So they're up next. I mean, this is it. So if those of you that are diehard Eagles fans that listen to Planet 76, we hope that you will come back and listen some more as the Sixers chase down an opportunity at the title. So it's officially basketball season in Philadelphia. If it wasn't already, it's officially
for me it
basketball
was. For me it's
season,
been for a while
now.
now.
Right. For me it's been forever, but if you're a huge fan of the Eagles, it's Sixers time, baby. You got another horse in the race of possibly winning a title, so that'd be really, really cool. I will say real quick, so the Sixers this week, as we look ahead a little bit, to look at the schedule, they have the Rockets coming up tomorrow at home. We got 5 straight at home.
Wow.
Just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about 7 straight on the road. Now we got 5 straight at home. Specifically over the next week, Houston, Cleveland, Memphis, and a rematch against Boston on Saturday night, ABC. So thoughts generally there. What do you want to see? What matchup intrigues you? I'll say obviously Celtics do, but which one do you think intrigues you more, Cleveland or Memphis? A matchup with those teams. Memphis, okay.
Sure. I think I would love to see the Sixers go 4-0 here, but 3-1 is fine as long as they beat Memphis, Cleveland, Houston.
Yeah.
Losing to Boston's fine, but they have to beat Memphis.
I enjoy beating Boston.
Yeah, I do too, 100%.
Because it's hard to win away. I hate
Going
playing Boston.
Yeah.
Boston doesn't miss shots when they play in Boston against the Sixers.
Or anybody.
Think back to the playoffs a few years ago. Yeah, against anybody. So we'll see what the Sixers do this week. And again, this is episode 84 of Planet 76. Again, for those of you Eagles fans, it's officially basketball season. For us on Planet 76, for the last months, it's been basketball season, so we got you covered here. We got plenty of knowledge and plenty of expertise on the Sixers. Yeah, if your head's been wherever, just in Eagles land for the last few months, go rewatch the last 20 episodes or whatever and catch up on what's going on with the Sixers. And because again, we got you covered, and we're gonna push. We're post deadline, 20-something games to go. And we're looking forward to the end of the season, especially looking forward to the postseason. It's going to be good. Let's go Sixers. So we will see you next time for episode 85 to break down a few Sixers home games this week. We'll see you next time. Peace. If you are a Philadelphia 76ers fan, this is the podcast for you. Planet 76, a weekly podcast covering all things Philadelphia 76ers. We'll see you next time.